Hi folks, this is Karl-James on channel 0121975. It's the 15th of February 2015 and we're going to look at the new film with Eddy Redmayne, The Theory of Everything. So yeah, we're going to look at that because I saw that today, Sunday, and just like to say quickly, I spent the whole day with my daughter Bethan, and we sort of did the usual playing of chess. I'm not that good at chess at this minute. I seem to be losing all those games. And then we went with loads of food and drink to watch the film, Theory of Everything. So I'm going to look at that. And other than that, it's been a good day. So, well, because of that, it's been a good day and spending time with my daughter. So, here goes some images and here goes what I think of the film. Thank you very much. There are a lot of films out there at this minute, and I watched the BAFTA ceremony, and I really thought that after listening to a BBC interview with Eddy Redmayne, who's the lead male actor in The Theory of Everything, that I thought that would be a good film to actually see. And Eddy Redmayne won the male actor in a leading role BAFTA, so that's brilliant. And it also won a BAFTA for Outstanding British Film and also Best Adapted Screenplay. And I feel that the director James Marsh adapted from memoirs Travelling to Infinity, My Life with Stephen by Stephen Hawking's own wife Jane Wilde Hawking, adapted by Anthony McCartan, dealt with lots of issues that I wouldn't know how I would deal with when I saw it in the cinema. Long story short, my daughter remarked to me afterwards that my reactions to the film throughout the whole film were, you know, it was getting to me. And I know about illness. I really do. I don't know so much about physical illness, but I would say that motor neuron disease, even though it's not a disease of the brain, it's a disease of your physicality. As I started watching the film, big, huge screen, lovely cinema in Cardiff, I actually thought that the acting that I'd been doing the last year, some of it was close to some of the acting of Eddy Redmayne. I'm not saying that I'm anywhere near as exceedingly brilliant as Eddy Redmayne, but I know how much effort it takes to actually act the areas that he was acting. And it was clear from the very outset of the film, with Eddy Redmayne playing Professor Stephen Hawking, that it started in 1963 with the meeting of Stephen Hawking and Jane Wilde, played by Felicity Jones, who's also an outstanding actor in the film. You already knew that, even if you didn't know anything about Professor Hawkins, you already knew that there were physical quirks that Eddy Redmayne was bringing to the character of Stephen Hawkins that which I would have concerns with. You could see he was struggling in his physicality, but his mental sense was purely there throughout. It was good to see other great characters in the film, like David Thewlis, as we all know him from the Harry Potter films and various other productions. He played the professor of Stephen Hawking, a guy by the name of Dennis Sciamma, hopefully I've got that right, who really inspired Stephen to look at black holes. He inspired Stephen Hawking to go into cosmology in his degree, and then his PhD, and now he's a real Stephen Hawking is a very powerful figure in physics. And what you saw was that the tender love of two figures, Stephen and Jane, was slowly coming out through the film, but the difficulty was seeing the physicality of Stephen Hawking's breaking down, in that he was starting to lose gradually all ability to move his limbs, and weirdly enough, eventually Stephen Hawking's speech went out of the fact that he was either to be able to breathe and live, so he would lose his speech because his sort of lungs needed a bit of support, and hence why you started to see Stephen in a wheelchair, and Stephen using that machine he uses to communicate, where he types something in and it comes out as a voice. Jane throughout the whole film is really supportive. Jane Wilde, Mrs. Hawking, played by Felicity Jones. There were a few shocks in the film. There was obviously the shock about watching this great eminent person falling to bits in his physicality, but his mental sense was amazing, being able to give lectures at conferences using his built-in voice synthesizer, which is quite amazing. And you go on to see that Stephen Hawking's wife, Jane, eventually what happens is that Stephen Hawking's meets his new carer, and his new carer actually starts to take over in Stephen's world. And there's a weird moment in the film, very strange moment, that there's this little tussle throughout that Jane, his wife, that he's got 3 beautiful children with. There's a bit of a tussle throughout the film that there's discussion between Stephen not believing in God, and then suddenly Stephen says that actually there's an indication from Stephen that God may exist. And there's a tender moment in the film where Jane thinks, wow, that's the moment that my husband has acknowledged something that I've been saying, and it's her moment. After all those years, because Stephen was only given 2 years to live, after all these years of being together, after 3 beautiful children, and in the same moment, basically their relationship was over, and that Stephen wanted to take his new carer to a conference in America, and that Jane was no longer to go with him. And in a way, Jane was also released to be able to marry somebody that she was very keen on. And it was interesting that the film went into so many different areas of relationships. It wasn't just about Stephen's physicality, but overall, without further ado, out of all the films around at this minute, see this film just for Eddy Redmayne's performance and his gentle work in communicating with great problems in his physicality, with Felicity Jones and Jane Hawkins, his wife, for most of the film. And I think if you've got to see a film, that's the film you see this year. Thank you very much. Thanks for watching the video log today, and speak to you all soon. Bye.